Hi, and welcome to my Applied Exercise 5.2 screencast. For this assignment, we were asked to conduct a meeting with our client to discuss a model that we designed based on the Envision Guide. To provide a little context, I worked with a group called Story Chasers. This group supports several schools around the state through professional development and consultation. The team that I worked with had an upcoming training with a school out in Northeast Oklahoma. I asked if I could facilitate that planning session with them using the Envision Guide. The two individuals participated in a Google Hangout with me, and we talked through, using the Envision Guide, their responsibilities for the day of facilitating a one-day training using iPads, iPad integration with teachers that support reading engagement, K through 8th. They've been to the school several times, so they were really looking at something different. During that Envision Guide process, we were able to discuss their desires and outcomes. One of their outcomes, of course, was that they wanted teachers to be able to showcase their learning. So we put that building block at the very end of the guide, or of the LIM model, to demonstrate what teachers would do at the end of the workshop. They wanted them to have lots of choice also during the session. They decided that maybe stations that were set up independently that teachers could rotate through, which is really where the original LIM started, which would have been from the beginning of this introduction to the station process, that actual open lecture, all the way through to the evidence, the showcase. What changed after the second conversation, which we held via cell phone and email exchanges, was the arrows. Who was facilitating and who was moving the learner through the process. And in the conversation, we discussed that maybe there was too much open-ended independence inside the station and that it needed more teacher facilitation, but that the choice was still up to the teacher as to where they started in the process. But through that conversation where we talked about maybe a lack of collaboration among the teams, or some independent leaders or teacher leaders that they don't maybe have that identity yet, they wanted to add an activity known as the app Smackdown, pretty common in a lot of educational tech environments, specifically professional development or sharing. And so just added a couple of building blocks to help represent that. So really this model states that the instructor will facilitate really the objectives and the outcomes of the workshop, move the participants into just the basics of particular apps, and then asking those teachers to share the way they actually use that app into their classroom, helping foster this, share component, demonstration, presenting to others, with the hopes that we can identify some teacher leaders among the team that might facilitate a different model regarding the arrows and who's facilitating maybe stations and shared practices later. Part of the assignment was to reflect on lessons learned, and again, I think that the guide provides a deeper understanding about what the client wants, allows me an opportunity to maybe dig a little bit deeper in the process, so I have a better understanding about what their expectations are. And then they also were, both my clients were impressed by the actual model because it again made visual what we had talked about. And the second follow-up meeting, even though it wasn't done face-to-face or even in a face-to-face environment, it provided a lot of important communication among the team, and they both were very thrilled. In fact, the suggestion was that I need to come on site next time and that we actually do a LIM in Lucidchart where they could move the blocks around themselves, because they thought that was kind of cool. So overall, I thought it was a great experience and a good opportunity to grow my skills, and I felt like I helped them maybe polish up some ideas and thoughts about how their training will be put together. Thank you for joining me.